Tasting Tuesday. I'm going to be tasting the wine blind, and it's a little bit of practice for my next wine qualification. And I'm going to go through the systematic process that we use for the Wines and Spirits Education Trust. But what I'm hoping people will take away from these videos is that they'll get a better understanding of why they like a particular wine. Is it because it's got high acid? Is it certain flavor characteristics? Is it because it's got high, low tannin, the way it feels on the palate? So I'm going to run through the grid as I do the blind tasting. I'll try and guess what the wine is. I'll probably get it wrong, as I probably will do about 80–90% of the time. And hopefully you'll learn something as well. So here's the one I'm going to taste tonight. As I said, I'm going to run through the systematic process that we use for the WSET, and the first item on the agenda there is colour. So a great way to look at the colour of the wine, especially if it's a white wine like this, hold it against a piece of white paper, and as you can see there, the wine's pretty pale, and this we would call a pale lemon in colour. So the colour's pretty simple. Next is the nose, and what we're looking for on the nose is the flavour characteristics. How many fruit aromas does it have? Does it have floral aromas? How intense are the aromas? Are they well defined? Are they easy to pick out? So this wine, very, very stone fruit, lots of peach, lots of apricot, maybe even a hint of pineapple on there. I don't smell any creaminess, and creaminess can indicate something called a malolactic fermentation. I can't smell any vanilla, and a vanilla would be an indication of oak, so I would say that this wine does not have oak treatment. And I'm getting mainly fruit aromas, so this is probably quite a young, fresh wine. And the peachy aromas are relatively well defined. Next up is the palate, so we taste. Okay, so what I'm looking for here on the palate is it a dry wine, is it a sweet wine? This is a dry wine. What's the level of acidity? So acidity is what makes you salivate, what makes your mouth water. And this I'm probably going to estimate is medium acid, medium plus. But I'm getting some, I had no vanilla on the nose, but here I'm getting some creaminess, maybe a little bit of butter, which could be something called a malolactic fermentation. And you generally find that in wines that may have had some kind of oak treatment. And the fruit flavors are the same. The fruit flavors are stone fruit, a little bit of citrus, a little bit of lemon on there, apricot, peach. So what that's telling me is this is from a slightly warmer climate. In a cooler climate, I would expect more citrus on the wine. This is a slightly warmer climate. It has the stone fruit flavors, a little bit of tropical, so it might even be edging on the higher end of warm towards very warm. And the last thing we're looking for is the finish, really. And the finish is the length of time that the fruit aromas and the flavors, the positive flavors of the wine rest on your mouth after you swallowed the wine. And the longer that finish is, then the longer that time frame is, generally indicates a higher quality wine. This is definitely, I would say, a medium finish, maybe medium plus. So when I look back at what I've got a pale lemon wine with a medium intensity of aromas, mainly stone fruit aromas, a little bit tropical. Doesn't smell like it's had a lot of oak. It doesn't look like it's had a lot of oak, but on the palate, it tastes like it's had some oak treatment. Other than that, it doesn't have a real whole lot going on. It's kind of a medium finish, so I'm looking at a warmer climate. I'm thinking old world, which means basically Europe when you're going to say old world. If I had to guess, I would put this at a Chardonnay from maybe southern Burgundy, the Maconnaise region, I'm thinking, which is South Burgundy. In North Burgundy and somewhere people might have heard of Chablis, It's much further north, it's a lot colder, and you would expect much more citrus flavours. And as you work your way through Burgundy, the temperatures start to ramp up, and as you get into the south of Burgundy, you get more ripe stone fruit, a little bit of tropical fruit, and they still use oak treatment on the wines there. So I'm gonna pin my hopes on a Mâconnais Chardonnay. Quality-wise, it's a nice wine. I would score this wine, given the flavour complexity, it could have more definition of fruit, but I think I would score this wine probably 90 out of 100, which means it's a good wine. It's an enjoyable wine. So let's see if I was right. Okay guys, so here it is. I haven't seen the wine yet. Remember I rated it a pretty good wine. I scored it a 90. I thought the finish could have been longer and the fruit a little bit more well defined. I pinned my hopes on a Southern Burgundy Mâconnais Chardonnay. So let's see what we've got. Okay, so we have a Craggy Range single vineyard Chardonnay from New Zealand. Great, yeah, I'm actually pretty pleased that I managed to call Chardonnay with oak treatment. I'm surprised given the quality level of this particular producer, Craggy Range, and the fact that this is a single vineyard, that it didn't have a little bit of a longer finish. I have had this wine before and enjoyed it a lot. And what I find surprising about this wine is the lack of depth of colour on the wine for a Chardonnay. This wine, retail in the UAE, you're looking at around about 180 dirhams, I think, something in that price range. In Europe, it's obviously going to be a lot cheaper, you lucky people. But this is a nice Chardonnay. Yeah, definitely. If you like Chardonnay and you want to try something a little bit different, New Zealand is a great place to try some New World Chardonnays from. Next week, hopefully, I'll get something right.